makers, men take more risk.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Uh,
true. Yeah,
yeah, when you see the stunts that's being done online, and I'm not talking about the necessary ones like the movie ones or stuff like that, but I'm talking about stu needless stunts that is being done
mm.
online by reckless
Just to put
people
it
posting it.
online.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
mostly men. It's mostly men doing
yeah,
it. You know,
yeah.
they do all this reckless stuff, and you think, well, I wonder why we die young. Why we
Well,
don't
yeah. I mean, I think people
why do
say,
we?
don't they, whether it's a man or a woman, that people do these things to feel more alive. And I sort of can understand that. If you're in a risk situation
Yeah.
of your own making or not, all of your all your nerve ends are alive and trying to protect you. So I understand that bit about a parachute jump or anything that is potentially risky. I think it does give a feeling of being alive. And too much of our lives, in some ways, is
Yeah.
routine, and we don't really push ourselves, as we talked before, out of our comfort zone. But someone said life begins just outside your comfort zone, and I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of truth in that, really.
Well, yeah, I do believe that. Well, I still would, I would draw the line at, jumping off a bridge, that sort of thing. I would.
Well, it's
I'm
good to
sorry.
know. Good to
I'm
know,
sorry.
Em.
I'm sorry, Trevor. I'm not with you on that one.
Okay, I won't watch out for you then,
I,
filming yourself doing so. Some of
I
these
don't,
guys who climb to the top
yeah,
of an aerial or some very thin thing, and they
I
then
know.
do a selfie, and you look. Well, it just makes me feel completely strange to see that they can even do that,
Yeah,
because a moments inattention or a slip,
yeah,
and their history.
yeah. And I don't envy them. I look at them and I think, oh, I don't look at them and think, oh, they're very skilled. I look at them and think, ah. You know, there's another idiot.
Well,
That's what
yeah,
I think in my head. I don't say out, but I've said it now.
to most of us they are. To most of us they are. But I
Yeah,
guess it takes all sorts to make the world, doesn't it? That's the
yeah,
truth of it.
that's true. Yeah, yeah. Do you think we're a happy nation, Trevor? Do you think, as a nation, are we happy?
It's a
Like
big
this.
question, and not
Yeah,
one probably yes or no. And I mean, the question is what is happy, what is satisfied.
yeah. Well, yeah. What is happiness?
I
Yeah,
do think as a nation we're very polarized. I think in various ways we have lots of opinions. There's divisions in the country, but
yeah,
I do believe certainly going back to the roads, I think there's more aggression on the roads here. I mean, I used to travel to Europe quite a few times on holiday or other things, and I've been to America a few times, and of course they have their own issues, and we know that. Let's face it, in America with the gun crime and so on. But I do think that the aggression on our roads, it doesn't take much for someone to get really angry and hitting the hooter. Whereas in my recent trip to New York
yeah,
and Manhattan, I mean, it's full of cars, real bustling atmosphere, lots of traffic lights. But although you get quite a lot of hooting, it's
yeah.
not done in an aggressive way. No one
Right.
sort of,
Okay.
stops their car, gets out and threatens somebody.
Yeah,
Whereas I think here you get these horrible road rages, which
yeah.
reflect an aggression that. I mean, I think we've been quite. I don't want to get political, but I think we've been quite negatively treated by our political leaders for
Yeah.
quite a few years now. It's almost like they disregard the main decent tax-paying population in
Mm.
favour of minorities, in favour of not so much minorities, but in favour of um, criminals, villains. I mean, they seem to treat villains as victims.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes they are,
Yeah.
but I think the country doesn't. I don't think as a people we feel respected by our leaders.
No,
They're there to serve, and some of them do that, but not all.
not all of
I
them.
think we're
Yeah.
taken for granted. And maybe that is why I would say, on balance, I don't think we are a particularly satisfied people, happy people. No, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking in comparison to what, That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking in comparison to probably I think I've seen a list one time of the happiest nations in the world or happiest countries in the world. And I think the Scandinavians made quite a lot of the top
Yeah,
five, I
yeah.
think. Yeah. And it just got me wonder why, what have they got that we haven't got? Have they got good
I
government?
think we are. Yeah, I think we have our big population centres, our cities and towns are, if not overcrowded, they are densely populated, and it's
Right.
like anything else. If you put too many people together vying for the resources, it will
Right.
cause issues. I mean, if you put animals together
Yeah.
closely and watch them behave, if there's a limited amount of food or water or anything,
Yeah.
they will squabble. I mean,
Right.
you see it with seagulls and other birds. They fight each other when they see a bit of bread.
They do, don't they?
Um,
Yeah.
so I think the same is true of us. We are a very crowded country in
All
our
right. Yeah.
population centres.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of the issue. We've got too many people
It
in a
could be,
small
yeah.
country.
In a small area. Yeah. Yeah,
That's right.
it just got me thinking, and then there's another question that I suppose it's open to interpretation into what is happiness, I mean,
Yeah. What is it?
what could mean happiness to me might not mean happiness to you. I mean, I had a friend, he's passed now. It was called Fenton, and and he's never been abroad. And he's never bothered him.
Really?
He's never bothered him. He's just done his own thing. I mean, the most he'll go, the farthest is gone is Blackpool, and he'll just go for a weekend, and it's
Yeah.
quite happy. It's quite happy with his television at home, and if it's all right. So the only time that he's rang me on the phone and he seemed very very worried was when he had a problem with Sky and he couldn't watch his favorite program, and I could tell that it really upset him.
Mm.
And in himself, he was never married. I've never actually seen him talk to any girl. He's just happy in his own world. And it just got me thinking. And I'm there, I'm clamoring for all these things. I'm thinking, oh, how do I do this? How do I set this up? How do oh, I've got to go on holiday. I've got to think this. And he weighs me down, and he's just there, and he's very relaxed, he's very happy, he's just getting on with his life. And he just made me think what happiness is.
I
um
think there's a bit of a contradiction with me on this because you read very often people whose quotes are in books and in magazines.
right.
They say the happiest person is somebody who is satisfied, completely satisfied with what they have.
Right. Okay.
Now, that obviously makes quite a lot of sense because if you're not, as you said, if we're not, you know, regularly wanting this, that, and the other, and material possessions,
Yeah.
then if we really are happy with what we've got, then that presumably makes for a fairly settled approach to life, a fairly good philosophy that, well, I'm not hankering after this or that.
Yeah.
But the dilemma in that argument to me is that any such person, they may be
Yeah.
settled and happy like your friend was.
Yeah.
But I think having the tension of ambition is important to the human condition. I think for me anyway, it's important to aspire to things, even if it's to become better at things, to become a better person, a better, in my case, a better musician,
Yeah.
better songwriter. So I think there's nothing wrong with wanting things,
Yeah.
if it can actually improve how we live our life, our sort of person we are in our community.
Yeah.
So that's a dilemma. So I don't know what the answer to your question is, but
Yeah.
maybe it's a
I
bit of
mean,
everything. It's not having too much ambition.
yeah.
We've got to be a bit realistic, but at the same time, we should be grateful, I guess, for what we have.
Yeah. I suppose there's no I don't think there's a one one one
One
size
size fits
one
all.
size
Yeah,
fits all answer to that question. It's just something to,
no,
contemplate. You just, sometimes you've got to do a like a self checkup, or evaluate
self-analysis.
your,
Yeah,
yeah, evaluate your values and see where you are,
yeah.
in the scheme of things that's going on around you. Yeah. So on that note, bruv,
Well done, cuz. It
yeah,
was good.
I
Well
think,
done.
yeah, it was good. Yeah, so I think we'll end the show here, and then for next time. So you've been listening to the Alien Spaceship with myself and my bruv Trevor. Um, so it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
So join us again for another interesting uh, season and episodes of the Alien Spaceship with myself, Emmy Hikins, and Trevor Gear. So goodbye from me.
Bye bye from me.
All right, so